Well, let's get more on this. We're joined by broadcaster and royal commentator Rafe Heydel-Mankoo. Rafe, a very strong reaction from the royal family. Have they been pressurised into that?
Well, I think the anger and, dare I say, the fury that we've seen expressed from St James's Palace has been wholly justified. And I think it was essential that they took this necessary step, because if they weren't going to do it after this blatant breach of privacy, when on earth would they? And a failure to act would have really have given an amber, if not a green light, to the media to carry on as they have done. And so we've seen this dramatic step. This is the first time that a senior member of the royal family has launched a lawsuit in a foreign court for a breach of privacy. And if it goes to trial, it will be the first time in history that a judge will have heard a case of this nature. Now, the Duke of Cambridge has certainly tried to safeguard his wife's privacy. We saw 2 years ago the Duchess settled out of court over photographs that were taken of her playing tennis. And this also reminds us of Prince William's mother, who also settled out of court for photographs taken of her in a gym. So this really is an attempt by the royal household to show that they will not tolerate this, and I think they need to come in with a heavy hand.
How are their chances likely to be successful? Because, of course, this is a French magazine.
Well, France has some of the strictest privacy laws in the world, and so there is no doubt that if this does go to court, they will definitely win. There's a criminal sanction here, a year in prison and £36,000 approximately, but it's very rare that editors are sued in a criminal manner. Usually will go through a civil procedure. But the reality is today, with the modern tabloid press in France, they actually factor the cost of damages into these articles. They do a cost-benefit analysis, and so they would have expected to pay out about £25,000 in damages to Prince William and the Duchess for this, and so they've made far more than that in sales. And so really this is toothless legislation in France, even though it is so strict. And we've seen that last week. We had a settlement for François Hollande's wife, the President of France, settled out of court for pictures with her wearing a bikini.
Now, Rafe, the British press at the moment is saying that they won't publish this. Of course, we had those pictures of Prince Harry in The Sun. How likely is it that they will stick to their word?
I think on this issue they will, because what we saw with the pictures of Prince Harry was almost without exception the British press chose not to publish. The Sun published on a very tendacious argument of public legitimacy of an argument in terms of his own security. But here, this is a blatant breach of privacy. Even the French magazine Closer have put no argument in their own defence. They know that there is no defence to what they've done, and so I'm sure we won't see the British press do this. But it does lead to the larger question of, can the British press live in a cocoon when the entire world outside is actually broadcasting this material?
Now, Prince William has reminded us of the fate of his mother, Princess Diana. The thing is, these are incredibly privileged people. They live in a lifestyle that one can only dream of. Surely they do have to pay for that in some way.
Well, over the last 15 years, the British press have treated the royal family's privacy with kid gloves compared to the manner that they were treated in the 1990s, because of the backlash after the death of Diana, and then the Press Complaints Commission's requirement that they adhere to an editorial code of conduct. And now, with the Leveson inquiry, they're very cautious. But I think now what we'll see is that the Duchess of Cambridge will have to have learned the lesson learned by the mother of Prince William, really, was that when you do go abroad, you have to always expect that there'll be a camera somewhere. And so privacy, it should be a human right, but unfortunately, if you're a member of the royal family, you need to think twice.
OK, Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, thank you very much for talking to us. Good to talk to you.